Your potential is like a massive iceberg hiding beneath the water. What the world sees is just the tip, but beneath the surface lies greatness waiting to be unleashed. The question is not whether you have potential. We all do. The real question is, what's preventing you from manifesting that potential into reality? I've traveled across this planet and met thousands of people from every walk of life, and I've discovered something profound. Success is not primarily about what you pursue, it's about what you permit. It's not just about what you add to your life, but what you eliminate from it. Most people focus on acquiring more knowledge, more skills, more resources, but the truly successful understand that elimination often precedes elevation. You must first remove what's weighing you down before you can rise to your highest level. Think about it this way. A rocket cannot launch with anchors attached. An eagle cannot soar with chains on its wings. And you cannot reach your destiny while clinging to things that limit your flight. I remember when I first discovered this principle, I was ambitious, hardworking, determined. Yet something was missing. Despite my efforts, I couldn't break through certain barriers in my life. Then one day, during a moment of reflection, I realized I wasn't failing because of what I lacked, but because of what I wouldn't let go. That revelation transformed my approach to success. Instead of constantly adding to my life, I began a deliberate process of elimination. And what happened next was remarkable. Opportunities emerged, doors opened, progress accelerated, not because I had gained something new, but because I had released what was holding me back. Today, I want to share with you the 5 things you must eliminate if you're serious about success. These are the anchors that keep most people trapped in mediocrity. These are the chains that prevent most individuals from experiencing the fullness of their potential. And these are the barriers standing between you and your highest destiny. Are you ready? Let's begin. Fear is the great paralytic of human potential. It freezes your capabilities, numbs your creativity, and silences your voice. Fear is that voice that whispers, you can't, you shouldn't, or what if you fail? And when you listen to that voice, you forfeit opportunities before you even attempt them. The tragedy of fear is not just that it stops you. It's that it stops you while creating the illusion that you're still moving. Fear will have you busy with activities that don't threaten your comfort, all while convincing you that you're making progress. What are you afraid of? Be honest with yourself right now. Is it failure? Is it criticism? Is it success? It's fear of failure keeps more dreams in the graveyard than any other factor. People avoid the possibility of failing by never starting, but here's a powerful truth. Failure is not your enemy, it's your teacher. Every successful person you admire has failed repeatedly. The difference is they refuse to let fear of failure stop them from trying again. Then there's fear of criticism, concern about what others will think or say. But understand this, critics don't build monuments. They don't create innovations. They don't change the world. That's the job of those brave enough to step into the arena despite the possibility of criticism. Some of you fight with fear of the unknown. You want guarantees before you take the first step. You want to see the entire staircase before climbing the first step. But success doesn't work that way. The path reveals itself to those in motion, not those standing still in fear. And perhaps most surprisingly, many people harbor a fear of success itself. They fear the responsibility that comes with achievement, the attention it might bring, or the changes it will demand in their lives. Here's how fear manifests in your daily decisions. You delay important phone calls. You procrastinate on launching your business. You avoid difficult conversations. You stay in unfulfilling relationships or jobs. You set goals but sabotage them with inaction. You dream without deadlines. How do you eliminate fear? First, you must identify it. Name your fears specifically. Vague fears maintain their power. Identified fears can be confronted. Second, analyze each fear critically. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? How likely is that outcome? Could I survive it? What's the cost of allowing this fear to control me? Third, take action despite fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the presence of fear. When you act while afraid, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't have to control your decisions. I've seen transformation in countless lives through this process. The businessman who feared public speaking now addresses thousands. The single mother who feared starting over now runs her own company. The young man who feared rejection now leads a thriving organization. They all discovered the same truth. On the other side of fear lies freedom. The moment you stop allowing fear to make your decisions is the moment you begin to experience the life you were designed for. Remember this, fear is a liar. It exaggerates the risks and minimizes your ability. It magnifies the obstacles and diminishes your strength. Don't negotiate with fear, eliminate it. Let me share something personal with you. Years ago, I stood at a crossroads. An opportunity presented itself that would require me to speak before thousands, to travel to unfamiliar places, to step into leadership roles I hadn't prepared for. Fear gripped me so tightly, I could barely breathe. What if I failed publicly? What if my message didn't resonate? What if I wasn't ready? For weeks, I wrestled with this decision. Then one morning, I had a revelation that changed everything. I realized that my fear wasn't protecting me, it was imprisoning me. I wasn't avoiding failure, I was guaranteeing it by refusing to try. In that moment, I made a decision not just to face my fear, but to eliminate its authority over my decisions. The result? Everything in my life expanded. My impact, my fulfillment, my growth, my contribution, not because circumstances miraculously aligned, but because I stopped allowing fear to make my decisions. What fear, if eliminated today, would most dramatically change your life? What opportunities have you declined because of fear? What conversations have you avoided? What skills have you left undeveloped? What dreams have you abandoned? Identify that fear now. Name it, challenge it, and most importantly, act against it. Now, let's discuss the second thing you must eliminate if you're serious about success. Success begins where your comfort zone ends. Your comfort zone is that space where everything is familiar, predictable, and safe. It's where you know what to expect and face minimal risk. It feels good, but it's a dangerous place to live. Comfort zones create mediocrity. They whisper, stay here, it's safe. Why risk what you have? And that whisper becomes the lullaby that rocks potential to sleep. How do you know if you're trapped in a comfort zone? You resist change, even when it could benefit you. You use the phrase, that's just how I am, to avoid growth. You feel anxiety at the thought of new challenges. You haven't failed at anything recently. You can predict exactly what your life will look like a year from now. Understand this fundamental truth. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. Every significant achievement in your life, has required you to step beyond what felt comfortable. Every skill you've mastered began with awkward incompetence. Every relationship you value required vulnerability. Every promotion you've earned demanded that you take on challenges that initially seemed beyond your capability. The relationship between discomfort and growth is direct and undeniable. The more comfortable you are, the less you grow. The more you grow, the less comfortable you'll initially feel. Great success requires great stretch. I call this the stretching principle. Just as a rubber band is useless unless it's stretched, your potential remains dormant until you extend beyond your current capacity. How do you systematically push your boundaries? Start by identifying your comfort zones. Where do you stay safe instead of pursuing growth? Is it in your career, your relationships, your health, your spiritual life? Then practice intentional discomfort. Do something every day that stretches you. Have the conversation you've been avoiding. Apply for the position that seems beyond your qualifications. Share the idea you fear might be rejected. Join the gym you've been driving past for months. Look at any successful person you admire. Did they achieve greatness by staying comfortable? No. They constantly pushed boundaries. They took risks. They embraced challenges. They did what was difficult when others settled for what was easy. Consider the athlete who trains beyond exhaustion, the entrepreneur who risks financial security, the artist who exposes their work to criticism, the leader who makes unpopular but necessary decisions. Their success wasn't built on comfort. It was built on the willingness to be uncomfortable in pursuit of something greater. I tell you with absolute conviction, the quality of your life will be determined by the number of uncomfortable conversations, decisions, and actions you're willing to take. Comfort zones are like beautiful prisons. They feel safe, but they confine you. And the longer you stay, the smaller they become. Eventually, what once felt like protection becomes painful limitation. Don't allow the temporary discomfort of growth to rob you of your permanent potential. Step out of what's familiar, embrace what's frightening, move toward what matters, because beyond your comfort zone lies everything you want. Now let's address the third element you must eliminate for success. If you understand your purpose and have overcome fear and comfort zones, but still aren't seeing results, procrastination may be your problem. Procrastination is the gap between intention and action. It's knowing what to do, but delaying when to do it. What's the real cost of someday? Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it when the time is right, you're spending a currency you can never get back, time. And time, unlike money, cannot be earned back once spent. Procrastination is particularly dangerous because it masquerades as reasonable delay. I just need more preparation. I'm waiting for perfect conditions. Once this other thing is handled, then I'll focus on my dream. These sound responsible, but they're usually just sophisticated forms of avoidance. Why do we procrastinate? Sometimes it's perfectionism, the belief that unless conditions are ideal, we shouldn't begin. Sometimes it's fear of failure disguised as prudence. Sometimes it's simply poor time management, allowing the urgent to crowd out the important. But here's a crucial distinction. There's a difference between delay and discipline. Discipline says, I'll prepare properly before acting. Procrastination says, I'll prepare indefinitely instead of acting. One leads to success. The other guarantees regret. How do you eliminate procrastination? First, use the 5-second rule. When you feel the impulse to take an important action, count backward from 5, then move immediately. This prevents your mind from talking you out of action. Second, implement time blocking. Don't just schedule appointments with others, schedule appointments with your dreams. Protect time for what matters most, not just what demands attention. Third, establish accountability systems. Tell someone your intentions and timeline, set consequences for inaction, create rewards for consistency, make procrastination more painful than action. I've seen remarkable transformations through these techniques. The author who finally completed her book after 5 years of planning to write. The executive who lost 50 pounds after years of intending to get healthy. The entrepreneur who launched his business after a decade of researching the market. They all discovered the same truth. There is no perfect moment to begin except this one. The conditions will never be ideal. The timing will never feel completely right. The only relevant question is, are you willing to start with what you have, where you are? Remember this, action is the antidote to anxiety. When you're worried about a task, taking the first step, even a small one, immediately reduces the psychological weight. Motion creates momentum, and momentum overcomes procrastination. I've observed a fascinating pattern among successful individuals across every field. They don't wait until they feel motivated to act. They act until they feel motivated. They understand that inspiration often follows initiation, not the other way around. Consider the story of a young woman I mentored. She dreamed of writing a book, but claimed she couldn't find the motivation. For years, she waited for inspiration to strike. I challenged her to write just 300 words every morning before checking her phone or email, regardless of how she felt. She resisted initially, making excuses about not being a morning person. Finally, she committed to the practice. The first week was painful. The second was tolerable. By the third week, something remarkable happened. She began looking forward to her writing time. 6 months later, she had completed her manuscript. The secret wasn't finding motivation. It was creating a system that didn't require motivation. This principle applies universally. The entrepreneur doesn't wait until all market conditions are perfect. They launch and adapt. The investor doesn't wait until they can predict market movements with certainty. They begin with what they have and learn through action. The leader doesn't wait until they feel completely qualified. They step forward and grow into their role. Procrastination thrives in ambiguity. When your goals are vague, your timelines undefined, and your actions unscheduled, delay becomes inevitable. Combat this by bringing relentless clarity to your objectives, breaking them into specific daily actions, and establishing concrete deadlines with accountability. The greatest tragedy is not failing to achieve your dreams. It's allowing them to die slowly through daily procrastination. Don't let that be your story. Choose action today, not someday. Now let's examine the fourth element that must be eliminated for success. Your environment is either nurturing your potential or neutralizing it. The influences around you, the people, the media, the habits, the beliefs, are shaping who you're becoming, often without your conscious awareness. Think about this. If you plant a healthy seed in toxic soil, will it thrive? Of course not. Similarly, you cannot reach your highest potential while surrounded by influences that contaminate your thinking and drain your energy. Let's discuss the categories of negative influences you must eliminate. First, people who discourage. I'm not suggesting you abandon those who disagree with you. Constructive critique is valuable. I'm talking about people who consistently diminish your dreams, who respond to your ambitions with cynicism, who find fault without offering solutions, who are committed to mediocrity and want you to join them there. Jim Rohn famously said, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Look around you. Are the 5 closest people in your life elevating or diminishing you? Are they pushing you toward your potential or pulling you back to their comfort level? Second, media that distracts. In this age of information overload, attention is your most valuable resource. What are you feeding your mind? Does the content you consume inspire creativity or induce comparison? Does it educate you or merely entertain you? Does it challenge your thinking or simply confirm your biases? Third, habits that deplete. Some activities drain your energy, focus, and motivation without providing meaningful return. Excessive entertainment, aimless scrolling, unnecessary meetings, pointless debates. These can become silent saboteurs of your success. Fourth, beliefs that limit. Often the most damaging influences aren't external, they're the stories you tell yourself. I'm not good with money. I don't have what it takes. Success is for other people. It's too late for me. These limiting beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies unless consciously eliminated. How do you audit your influences? Start by tracking your responses. After spending time with certain people, consuming certain media, or engaging in certain activities, ask, do I feel energized or drained? More confident or more doubtful? Closer to my goals or further away? Then implement these strategies for creating a success-oriented environment. Practice selective association. Invest your time primarily with people who inspire growth. This doesn't mean becoming isolated or arrogant. It means being intentional about your closest relationships. Curate your information diet. Just as you're careful about what food you eat, be discriminating about what information you consume. Eliminate mental junk food that offers temporary stimulation, but no lasting value. Redesign your physical spaces. Your surroundings speak to your subconscious. Create environments that remind you of your goals and reinforce your highest values. Challenge limiting beliefs. Question thoughts that place artificial boundaries on your potential. Replace "I can't" with "how can I?" Replace "it's impossible" with "who has done this before? And what can I learn from them?" I've witnessed profound environmental transformations. The entrepreneur who changed his business results by changing his peer group. The artist who unlocked creativity by eliminating digital distractions. The student who improved academic performance by redesigning her study environment. They all learned this truth. You cannot rise higher than your influences will permit. Success requires eliminating the negative inputs that limit your thinking, drain your energy, and divert your focus. Now, let's address the fifth and final element you must eliminate for success. Excuses are the lies we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility for our lives. They are the stories that explain why we can't, shouldn't, or don't have to take action toward our dreams. The excuse reflex develops early in life. As children, we learn to deflect responsibility. It wasn't me. She started it. Nobody told me. As adults, our excuses become more sophisticated, but the purpose remains the same: to protect us from facing our fears, making difficult changes, or accepting uncomfortable truths. Let's examine common excuses that block success. I don't have enough time. But we all have the same 24 hours. The question is not about having time, it's about making time for what truly matters. I don't have enough resources. Yet history is filled with innovators who started with nothing but determination and creativity. I don't have the right connections. But connections are built, not simply found. They're the result of consistent value creation and relationship investment. I don't have enough education or experience, yet many of the world's most successful people had limited formal education, but unlimited self-education. I'm too old/young, but achievement has no expiration date. It's never too early to begin and never too late to start again. My circumstances are different, yet success principles are universal, even when applications vary. How do you distinguish between real obstacles and excuses? Ask yourself, is this within my control, even partially? Have others overcome similar situations? Am I focusing on the barrier or potential solutions? Am I using this as a reason to delay action? Taking radical responsibility means accepting this truth. While you may not control all circumstances, you always control your response to them. You may not have chosen your starting point, but you can choose your next step. Here's a framework for turning excuses into action plans. First, identify the excuse with complete honesty. Second, challenge its validity with critical questions. Third, identify one action, however small, within your control. Fourth, focus exclusively on that action until completed. Fifth, build momentum by taking the next logical step. I've seen this process transform lives. The single parent who stopped using family responsibilities as an excuse and built a successful business while raising children. The individual from a disadvantaged background who refused to let their starting point determine their destination. The person with physical limitations who found creative ways to achieve what others thought impossible. They all discovered this truth. Your excuses or your achievements, you don't get to have both. Every moment spent justifying inaction is a moment that could be invested in progress. Notice how excuses connect to the previous four elements we've discussed. Fear generates excuses to avoid action. Comfort zones provide excuses to resist change. Procrastination uses excuses to justify delay. Negative influences supply excuses to rationalize mediocrity. When you eliminate excuses, you essentially cut the lifeline to all other success barriers. You create a mentality that refuses to surrender to circumstances, that finds a way when others find a reason why not. Remember this, the quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your explanations. When you stop explaining why you can't and start figuring out how you can, everything changes. I want you to try something right now. Think of the biggest excuse currently limiting your progress. That explanation you've been telling yourself about why you can't move forward. Now imagine what would happen if you approached that situation with a completely different mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of declaring, this is impossible because. Ask, how might this be possible if? This simple shift from excuse making to solution finding is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. It's what allows some people to advance while others remain stuck. I once worked with a business leader who constantly blamed market conditions for his company's declining performance. The economy is against us, he would say. Our industry is changing too rapidly. Our competitors have unfair advantages. For months, his business continued its downward spiral while he perfected his excuses. Then something shifted. After a particularly difficult quarter, he made a decision to eliminate the excuse mindset. He gathered his team and said, "From this moment forward, we will no longer discuss why we can't succeed. We will only discuss how we can succeed, regardless of external conditions." The transformation was remarkable. Within 6 months, his company had developed innovative solutions to market challenges, identified new opportunities invisible to excuse makers, and reversed their declining trend. The circumstances hadn't changed significantly, but their response to those circumstances had changed completely. Your life expands or contracts in direct proportion to your willingness to take responsibility rather than make excuses. When you eliminate the excuse habit, you activate creativity, resourcefulness, and determination that remain dormant in the excuse-making mind. We've covered the 5 things you must eliminate if you're serious about success: fear, comfort zones, procrastination, negative influences, and excuses. These are the hidden barriers that keep potential trapped and dreams unrealized. The elimination process isn't easy. It requires honest self-assessment, deliberate choices, and consistent action. But the alternative, living below your capabilities, watching opportunities pass by, carrying the weight of unfulfilled potential, is far more painful in the long run. I challenge you to begin this elimination process today. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel more ready, today. Because tomorrow's achievements are built on today's decisions. What would your life look like without fear controlling your choices? Without comfort zones limiting your growth? Without procrastination delaying your progress? Without negative influences contaminating your environment? Without excuses justifying inaction? That vision, that's your life of purpose. That's your destiny calling. That's success waiting to be claimed. You were not designed for mediocrity. You were created for impact. You exist to contribute something significant that would be missing from the world without you. The elimination of these 5 barriers will not guarantee an easy journey, but it will ensure a meaningful one. It will not remove all obstacles, but it will give you the clarity and capacity to overcome them. It will not eliminate all problems, but it will transform you into someone capable of solving them. So, I ask you, are you serious about success? Serious enough to eliminate what's holding you back? Serious enough to make difficult choices now for extraordinary results later? Serious enough to become more committed to your potential than to your patterns? If so, your transformation begins right now with your next decision, not with more information, but with implementation, not with better circumstances, but with bolder choices. Your potential is waiting. Your purpose is calling. Your time is now. Eliminate what limits you and watch how quickly you expand into the person you were always meant to become. Remember, success is not just about what you pursue, it's about what you permit. And when you stop permitting these 5 barriers to exist in your life, you unlock a level of achievement, fulfillment, and impact beyond what most people ever experience. The choice is yours. The time is now. The potential is unlimited. Eliminate what's holding you back and step fully into your greatness.